internets, Jesus loves you. My name's Cody, and this is the Christian News Show we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays with geeksundergrace.com. And of course, before we get into the news, we need to give a shout out to our Patreons at patreon.com/geeksundergrace. You guys allow us to do everything that we do, so thank you. And our first story of the day is about the separation of church and state, specifically in Tennessee. And over the past few years, Tennessee has kind of become a bit notorious for trying to honor God through state legislations. I mean, this is the same state that tried making the Bible their state book. That obviously failed, and they've also tried to get "In God We Trust" painted on podiums for the Senate. Well, right now they're working on license plates. They just want to put "In God We Trust" on their state license plates. It's trying to get it to go through. Don't know if it will or not. If it does, Tennessee will be seeing these license plates July 1st, 2017. And I'm curious if you guys agree with me or not, because in my mind, as long as that's not the only license plate you can get, then I don't see any problem with it. Like for Colorado, we have a couple different license plate choices. If you don't have to have the "In God We Trust" license plate, I don't see it as that big of a deal. But if Tennessee is like, yeah, the only license plate you can get is this one that says "In God We Trust," I can see why some atheists are going to be mad about that, because they don't want to drive a car around that says "In God We Trust" if they don't trust in God whatsoever. I've always thought it was really interesting that we have "In God We Trust" on our money. Though I've said before, I don't think that that is the Christian God that they're talking about on the dollar bill. I think it's money itself. And then now that I think about it, our next story is also about separation of church and state, specifically in schools in Missouri. And I do want to preface this with, I don't think that I have all the facts here. This is a super convoluted story. Basically, the students at North Middle School in Joslin, Missouri were having a Bible study. And then the American Humanist Association found out about it and decided they were going to shut that down. But they were alleging that school teachers from the school itself and then clergymen from the community were leading this Bible study at this middle school. They also claimed that donuts were provided for the students to create incentive for people to actually come to the Bible study, which I have to question whether or not donuts really make a difference in this situation at all. But the reason that I say this story is convoluted is because all of that is alleged and there's nothing being reported confirming that any of it is true. But what makes the whole story kind of weird is that the school decided they were going to shut this Bible study down, but not for any of the reasons that were brought up. According to the school, the entire thing was student-led, but that is not allowed within the school, so they had to shut it down. Basically, students can't lead extracurricular activities until high school, so if middle schoolers are leading it, then they can't be, and if teachers are leading it, they also can't be, so no Bible study. And from that, we go to the huge final story of the day. There is a website that has been around for almost like 13 years called Backpage.com. It's basically Craigslist. I mean, just like Craigslist, you can go to the website and you can buy and sell things and services. So this website is innocent enough. I mean, it's not trying to be malicious in any way. And of course, like anything else, it can be abused, and it was. And by that, I mean the site is considered to be the biggest online brothel. But it's cool to be able to report that January 9th, just a few days ago, they actually closed that part of it down. No sexual services can be found on Backpage.com anymore. So for Christians, this is good news all around, like unquestionably, but I do know that there are some atheists out there like, a person owns their body. They can do whatever they want with it. You shouldn't be controlling whether or not they provide sexual services. But I think for even people with those opinions, the common ground here is that that is not what was happening. We talk about it a lot here on the news show, but sex trafficking is a huge thing, especially in the United States. We're talking about children who were being sold on Backpage.com, along with women who had grown up being forced into it. They didn't have a choice. It wasn't what they wanted to do with their body. And so a site that was one of the biggest places to find that kind of activity, shutting that down, I think anyone can rejoice too. This doesn't necessarily mean the end of like all online activity like this is going to happen, but this was one of the biggest, so it is kind of a monumental move for them to be doing. Also, I always really like to bring up love146.org. They are people who fight against human trafficking. So if you want to find out more about them, please go check them out. Question today, what are your thoughts on the separation of church and state with the middle school or with the license plates? I mean, I think I gave both my opinions. In middle school, I think that students should be able to do whatever they want as long as it's student-led. I think that's great. And with license plates, I think there should just be multiple license plates. But I want to know what you guys have to say, so please leave a comment in the comment section down below with your answer. I know some people are completely against the idea of separation between church and state. So always curious what you guys have to say. As always, make sure you check out geeksundergrace.com for more geeky content. My name's Cody Armour, bringing you Christian news in a not so boring kind of way every Tuesday and Thursday. In closing, let the haters hate, let the Christians pray, and to everybody like and subscribe, I will see you later, and God bless.